Be a bit intimidating at first, but I wanted to show you just how much fun they are to put together. So what I've done, we're talking about the Tim Holtz Under the Sea number 1 and 2 dies here. So we have these fantastic small kind of ocean themed characters. I'm going to show you them all in the video, but make sure you go and have a look on Google even and just Google Tim Holtz Under the Sea. You'll see each set, number 1 and 2, and what comes with them, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Now, I have made this step-by-step guide, and the step-by-step guide is going to be showing you how we're making this fantastic walrus character. And you can see instantly we've got that lovely, playful, illustrative feel in these really detailed dies. Now, Colorize, when we're talking about Colorize, we're talking about that detail. It gives you that opportunity to play about with different colors, build them up from light to dark, add shadow. We have these tiny little details, and that's what I mean by intimidating. They're not intimidating. These products are fantastic, and I'll show you just how great they are with this nifty guide. So here we are. This is just the walrus. This walrus is in set number 2. Now we've got the steps here, and as you can see, when you cut them, they cut out these basic shapes. So I've got this piece here, and on the back of the die there, I don't know if you can see, but it actually says Walrus Brown 1. Now with this set here, we're looking to build it up from dark to light, which we've done. So I know that this one needs to be cut in brown. So how easy and simple is that? Then we move on to the next shape here, which is Walrus Brown 2. Now instantly we're starting to get more detail added, and what you'll notice in this one, it's harder to see in the darker, but we do have those embossed lines in there that are going to help you. They are a guide to show where the next piece is going to go. So next you can see that we've got the embossed line around there. Now step 3, we've added that piece there, and that piece comes with its own embossed line. Now here you can see it's starting to come together, and as you are building them up, it's like a paint by numbers. You start to kind of see where it's going, and you're really impressed with the results straight away. So I'm going to come here with step 4. So we've added the teeth and the tusks, sorry, and just that nose element there, the snout. And then step 5, we've got a bit that goes darker just over these tusks here, so you can see we're starting to build up those colours. Step 6, we're nearly there, and all we have, the only embossed lines I can see now are those ones to add those lovely little eye and mouth elements there, and then that can be shown in the final step, which is when it's been put together. And just how lovely is that? It doesn't take long to put together. All that I would suggest when putting these together is have a pair of our fantastic tweezers handy. Because we're using these tiny little bits, we want to be able to pick them up and move them around and really accurately put them on top of those embossed lines. Now, here we've used our Sizzix cardstock. You do not have to use the Sizzix cardstock. If you want to deviate from the colours on the back, you can just use them as a guide and know that we are building either from light to dark or dark to light, but it will be obvious when you're building these. And just look at that result. When you're finished, it is worth that time and the extra detail, the attention that you've given to it. You end up with something you can be really proud of. And I will show you how brilliant these look on a make now. So I'm going to take away my guide. I hope you found that helpful. Now, I'm going to be using some of the elements from both sets here. I won't bring that on just yet because that's my big reveal. So I'm going to start by inking, like I do with a lot of Tim Holtz makes, Tim Holtz style makes. I love to play about with these distress inks. So what better colour to use other than Salty Ocean, because these are ocean themed makes. I was messaging, I know Pete and I like to think of sentiments to go on these, puns on the ocean. I've seen that on some of Pete's cards. I messaged my partner Susie. She came up with Seize the Day, and then I realised that Pete had already thought of that on his card that I'll show you later. So what I'd like to see in the comments that'd help us out, and maybe some other suggestions for ocean themed sentiments. There we are. So I'm not being really accurate with, and putting a lot of time into my ink in here. Reason being is because I am going to manipulate some of that with a bit of water, which is the beauty of these Ranger inks here. So I'm just adding some salty ocean to the corners here. Now you can see that I've left the mid part white, and that's because I'm going to go in by applying this directly to the craft mat. We're going to give this spray more in some areas, less in some, so we're going to end up with some really fine detailed droplets here and then some bigger ones. Now I'm going to take this, just add it over, and I'm going to try and just pick up some of these droplets with the card there. So I'll do this all over. We need to remember that this is meant to be under the sea, so I want them to be all kinds of different wavy, bubbly textures and tones like we've got here. So how cool is that? Now I can get rid of my, actually I'll keep that to the side there. I just need to give it a wipe if I can find something. I'll wipe it with this. There we are, just keep that to the side. Now rather than waiting for this to dry, it only takes a sec, but I'd like to get on with the make here. I've prepared something else earlier. What I'm going to do when this has dried, I've taken just a piece of craft card and I'm going to tear this because I want, this is going to be the ocean floor. It's already almost a sandy colour, and I just want an organic kind of horizon there. So I would just tear that over. I could even use this piece here. Then I'm going to glue this down and then trim round the edges to get that full rectangle, and we've done that over here. And the last bit of inking before we start using our colorized, because I can't wait, is just the edges here. I want to soften those edges and darken them with a bit of vintage photo. This is something that I often do with kind of more, when I want a kind of vintage look. Oh, got a bit on my finger there, be careful of that. Try and get it off. I think the craft mat's still a tiny bit wet. So I'm just going to soften those edges there. And I like the way that the kind of warm brown colour just kind of offsets that blue. We're getting that vintage style. So I'm going to go over these corners as well, just to darken them. And there we have it. So that's all I'm going to do on there. And you can see we've just softened the corners there. If you wanted to get rid of this bit, you could trim it down a bit more. Now I can get rid of my craft mat. So I'm going to bring on a pre-inked piece of card that I've prepared earlier. So we've got that kind of lavender, and then I think this is a Dusty Concord here, purple colour, because I know when we're using these colorized dies, we want one dark area, which is going to be my main kind of background piece, and then I want a lighter area of a similar tone to cut my kind of forefront pieces here. So I'm going to bring on the Big Shot machine. And I'll lay that down here. So this is the octopus here. I can see it actually says purple, so I just chose purple by chance, but on the back of this die it actually says to cut it from purple, so that is a very happy mistake there. I'll bring this through and back again, because these are detailed dies, and out pops. Well, I wish I had my die pick with me, but I think I could just about prize that out there. And there we are. So we've got one element here, which I can just pop down. And then I've prepared the area that I would have cut from this kind of more, the lighter lavender area here. So I took this front element, and then I also cut out from some of our Earl Grey cardstock the eyes and mouth elements there, just so you didn't have to watch me kind of fumble around trying to get that on there. So a little bit of express glow, not much, and then we're just going to add this layer on. And how easy is that? So that's one of our little characters. In each set you get quite a few different characters. I know that in set number 1, so that's Under the Sea number 1, we've got a dolphin, we've got 2 kind of fish similar to clownfish, like that popular Pixar movie. We've got a jellyfish, and then we've got this guy here. But as I say, I'm going to mix and match. Now I'm going to bring this on. I'm going to see where I want it. I'm going to want him about here. But I've prepared a sentiment here. Let the sea set you free. Well, that was lovely. I will just take the back off here. I'm going to put my sentiment down first so that then I know where I'm going to want my octopus. And what I want for him to be just coming over the sentiment. So I'll have him floating. Just his head is just going to overlap there and just create that kind of nice illustrative feel there where they're all going over each other. I'll apply a little bit more of my foam tape to this big area on the back of his head. And just prise the protective layer off the top. And then have a look at this. Now with that just overlapping, it's added a tiny bit of sophistication to that card there, and the foam tape has just added some dimension to let the shadow do what it's going to do around here. So we're off with this card. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on the finished card, because the next bit, with each set you get a set of bubbles. Now the bubbles, when you place them right, they're a fantastic way to make use of any space that's free. So if you're not happy with the composition, you can just use those bubbles to even it out and create a bit of balance in the make. Now I've used the starfish and the crab from one of the other sets. I think that's set number 2. So as you can see, they're all thematically the same. They go together perfectly, and just look at that. Now can you see how these bubbles have just made use of that space around here? I've even overlapped some of them, and I've put some of them in this white area here. Now what I did is I inked just a tiny bit with some of that salty ocean and then cut the bubbles from there. So they're not white, but they are lighter than this inked background. And that is really it from me. So what I would love to see, as I mentioned earlier, maybe some nautical themed puns that we can stick on some of these cards. And I'd also love to see what you guys do with these Under the Sea die sets. So thank you very, very much for watching. Make sure you head over to the Sizzix website for some inspiration. Go and have a look at these die sets and just see exactly what comes in there, because 1, they're Tim Holtz, 2, they're colorized, and 3, you are just really getting your money's worth in regards to all the different elements that come with these sets. So thanks for watching, and I